We got everybody. Okay, we'll reconvene the special council meeting. We are bringing forward an item from caucus, and therefore we need to waive notice of motion. Takes 2/3, moved by Councillor Glenn Graham, second by Councillor Ioannidis. Notice be waived to add one item to the agenda. Those in favour? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. The item now, who's prepared to bring forward the motion? Councillor Ioannidis, seconded by Councillor Glenn Graham. And the motion reads that the Mayor and Clerk be authorized to execute a construction and lease agreement satisfactory to the City Solicitor for the boathouse at Victoria Park with a term of 10 years from the date of substantial completion of the renovations anticipated therein and in accordance with the direction received in caucus on February 3rd, 2014. Any discussion or questions? Okay. Oh, there is one. Councillor Singh.
Yes, quickly, just for, I guess, for everyone's notice again, there are some capital improvement costs related to this lease that we would be responsible for. And what is the lease agreement per square footage cost? Could staff comment?
Mr. Regier.
The anticipated landlord improvements for the building would be in the range of $410,000, and the proposed lease will be running for $7 a square foot for the first year and $10 for the years 2 to 10 of the term of the lease.
Okay, I'll have a comment afterwards, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Okay, so why don't you continue with your comment then, Councillor Singh? Oops, hang on a second.
Yes, sorry.
Let's go with Councillor Singh. Okay.
Thank you again. Although I think this is, a long time coming as a next step to the evolution of the boathouse. Just the related information we just received, in my opinion, I think the capital costs are quite substantial, far more than I had ever anticipated that they would be. And I think what we're getting return on that significant investment into that building as the lease rate, in my mind, I don't think we are getting the return that we should be based on the capital improvements. So based on those two things alone, I would not be able to support.
Okay. Councillor Etherington.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I share those concerns. I want to stress that I very much want the boathouse to thrive in my ward in Victoria Park. And I very much look forward to having it in place for this summer. I think the city and taxpayers need to invest in both this venue and the local music scene, so I have no problem with that. But I'm not at all comfortable with the way we've gone about the bidding process. I'm sure that the Imbibe will make a success out of the boathouse. I know that, but I wasn't happy to see us end up with a sole surviving bidder. In addition, I'm concerned about the fact taxpayers will end up investing almost $1 million in the exterior and interior of the boathouse once these renovations are completed. And to me, that Cadillac boathouse is way too rich. I think we could have done the work for less. And just to explain that almost $1 million, we've pumped about $600,000 into the patio and exterior, and we're now talking about putting in another $410,000 for interior work. And in addition to that, the bidder will put in an amount of money as well. And I think, as I said, that's way too much. So I'll be voting against this.
Councillor Glenn Graham.
I think we can all agree we want good value for money, that this is a historic building and that it's going to be a success. The point here is that it is an investment, and this is an opportunity to value the not only heritage of the park, not only the music cluster, but also the huge boathouse community that's developed, and that we promised we would do, make an investment to support them. And this is not just about the downtown. This is an attraction magnet for a lot of people to come to Kitchener, and it's got a lot of attention throughout the greater, I'd say, internationally, actually. So what we're looking at is an opportunity here to put our money where our mouths are in terms of the boathouse. No, it's not been an ideal process. I agree it's been messy, but what we have is a willing investor, we have a great asset, and we've got a very invested community. So it's time to move this process forward and to build on the momentum we've got in this music industry. I think we'll all find that it's been a worthwhile investment.
Okay, I'll leave you till last, Councillor Ioannidis, since you were the mover. Councillor Yanetsky?
Yes, thank you. I know we've gone through some challenges here. It has gone through a process that I think is satisfactory. I know there's only one, in the end, person who basically has worked with the city, although we did have an open process that we initially had some, I think, half dozen interested parties back a few months ago to when we put the notice out there for interest. And unfortunately, some of those just couldn't make, from their perspective, the thing come to fruition. But anyways, I think we're moving forward on this. I know we have to put in some $400,000 and change into the improvements into the building. The building was not built to have a restaurant. It was just built as a simple boathouse, so it was done minimally back several decades ago. But to make this thing work, we as a city have to put some dollars down, and I think by what we're doing, we'll bring back revenue ultimately based on the lease that we have, and I think that's probably going the best way. And this is going to cost less than what it costs to build the washrooms that are across the street where we got no money coming in. So I think it's best to support this application and move forward and have something materialize for this summer.
Councillor Davey?
Thank you. I just wanted to comment briefly that yes, the process was not nearly as clean as I would have liked it to be with one bidder, but I'm satisfied that we have a solution and a lease that I'm content with. The reality is the capital costs would have to go into the boathouse regardless of what the tenant was, who the tenant was. So if we were to decline this at this point, I'm just simply not convinced that, well, first of all, the boathouse would not be opening this summer, or fall for that matter. We'd be looking at next year at earliest, most likely. And I'm not convinced that any extra dollars would compensate for the added costs of not having any income for that 1 year period, number one, and number two, for staff having to reboot the process on this. And to be completely honest, I think that the City of Kitchener has given this boathouse issue quite enough attention. I'm content with the offer before us. I think we need to move on to what I think are much more important economic development initiatives.
Councillor Fernandez.
Thank you. You know, I was reflecting on how long this process has taken, and it feels like it's been almost the full term of my sitting in council. And I agree with Councillor Davey. It is time to move on, and it is time to put this to bed, so to speak. We made a commitment to pretty much the music industry and all of the people who supported the previous boathouse and the way it was. That may have tied our hands, and you know, maybe we'll regret that. I certainly hope that this operator is able to do all the wonderful things that they are hoping to do, that this business is successful, and that the community supports it, because I think that council has definitely listened to the community on a number of points here, and I think it's something we have to move forward at this point in time. The building, as Councillor Yanetsky pointed out, was never intended to be a restaurant, so we're putting a lot of capital money into it. It will be probably a wonderful addition to the park, and I think that a lot of people will enjoy having a venue like that. So let's hope that this all comes out in the wash in the end.
Councillor Galloway-Seelock.
Yeah, I think a lot of my comments have already been said, but I really think that it's about being an investment in our community, and that we have an operator who has a track record that is of doing a really good job, and that it will be an asset in one of our premier parks in the city. And I think it will just really be positive moving forward. And I think it's important to support this for the overall investment and value for our park and our economic development strategy, as well as our music cluster strategy.
Thank you. I'll just make a quick comment. I concur with the positive comments that have been stated, because I will be supporting it. I would just note that there has been a great deal of money spent in this area. However, I would remind you that much of the costs related to the patio and the exterior would have been there in any event, not all of them, but much of it. We cannot forget that we own the asset. We, regardless of whether or not someone else is putting money in, or we own the asset. It will be there forever. And I would simply make an observation that this is a much better financial result than the previous operation for the city. It is time to move on. Councillor Ioannidis, will you close the debate?
Yes, I'm glad to see this here. It's been a long time coming, and I think what's been offered and what's being completed is a sound business plan, and it's the right direction in which we as a community have been asked to by council, is to respect this venue as a music venue, and that's what's on the table. And the other thing that I wanted to touch upon is I take a little bit of an exception to when we say I'm not happy about the process of how this developed, but this is the process that we have in the system, and this is the system that we want to be transparent and fair to the public. And to say otherwise is, tell me what other option are you trying to suggest that we do. And again, this goes along with what we're going to see later on today as an Environics. This is an economic development initiative, and as we all know on that Environics, this is one of the top 3 initiatives. And again, I want to remind council again that we are moving forward in improving our downtown core and in all our initiatives, but I don't think we're there yet. There is some vacancies that we do have in the core, and this is just one of the things that will create another vitality in the community. And I look forward to the establishment opening up in the future.
Okay, it's time for the vote. Recorded vote is called for. Just waiting for that. You may now vote. Motion is carried. Yes, those in favor? Opposed? Again, the motion carries. Motion for the bylaws for 3 readings, moved by Councillor Galloway-Seelock, seconded by Councillor Davey. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And this meeting is adjourned.